Hey, David here with another Scales and Tales, and this is a minor scale mastery. So if you've been following the last two lessons, the minor scale mastery part 1 and part 2, this is minor scale mastery part 1. So we're going to kind of move, forward using the minor pentatonic scale as a vehicle, so to speak. So if you've been following these last two lessons, I highly recommend, checking out part 1 and part 2 of, pentatonic mastery. And that's going to help you understand what we're going to be doing here. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply what we've learned, moving A minor pentatonic to F and also G minor pentatonic, learning some sequences and learning some different ways of kind of moving through the scale. But in the last lesson, we were in the key of G, and you may remember me discussing there at the end how, the minor pentatonic is a skeleton scale, so it's the core. Just like in the previous episodes, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change keys again. And I'm not trying to throw you off or confuse, anybody out there. But I am trying to, explore other ways and other, visions of this. So as you practice, the previous two episodes, which aren't really related to the first episode. And as I move this Scales and Tales series along, it's not necessarily all going to be related to this. So this is just kind of where we are now, and then in the future, it's going to move on to other keys and tonalities and scales and modes. So anyway, we're going to move, we originally started in A, discussing things. We broke some things down in F. We broke some more things down in G. Now we're going to move to F sharp. So it may seem like I've just done a little, circle right there, going to F sharp minor, but there's a reason. Think of Crazy Train and Randy Rhoads, and, it's a very familiar sound, and it's a very popular key too. I like F sharp minor. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to basically kind of play with the box, and we're going to identify not only the minor pentatonic scale, but also the natural minor scale, which that did come up in the previous episode, part 2 of Pentatonic Mastery. But, stupid strap. So what we're going to do here is we're going to uncover not only the natural minor scale, but we're also going to pinpoint and find the Dorian mode and the Phrygian mode, which Aeolian, Dorian, and Phrygian all come, from the major scale. And I am going to talk about modes separately in a separate episode. But we're just going to kind of briefly identify them, talk about them, and then kind of move, on to the next episode. But I will have a modal themed, episode coming up soon. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do here is take, the box, shape 1 of F sharp minor pentatonic. Right? Take the box. And then we're going to change that into the natural minor scale. So we kind of did a little bit of that in the last episode, and we're going to do the same thing here. And there you can see we added a G sharp, and then also a D, right? To convert to that minor pentatonic to a natural minor, or Aeolian. So with that conversion, kind of under your fingers and in your head and in your ear, traditional sound. Now, at the core of all these minor, this kind of minor scale family, these modes that come from the major scale, Aeolian, Dorian, and Phrygian, you can find F sharp minor pentatonic in the middle of all of those scales, believe it or not. The root, the flat third, the fourth, the fifth, and the flat 7 hides in Aeolian, Dorian, and Phrygian. And you don't have to change anything. It's just there, so there's the natural minor scale. Right? And that scale exists right there. If you remove the second and the sixth, boom, you have a minor pentatonic. Here's a couple charts to kind of help you visually understand and see, kind of what we're unlocking here. Okay, so if you have Aeolian and you want to change, the minor scale to Dorian, all you have to do is alter the sixth. So now, instead of playing natural minor, now we're going to flirt with Dorian. Okay. And that's going to basically have a D sharp now. It's going to have a raised sixth, or a natural sixth. Once again, the minor pentatonic is still there. You just have to look beyond, that scale. Find it. You just have to think, beyond what you're actually, playing. If you're thinking pentatonic, you have to think more, Dorian. If you're thinking Dorian, you have to kind of think of where that pentatonic scale still exists right there. Okay, and then last but not least here with Phrygian, if we go back to the natural minor scale, F sharp natural minor, or F sharp Aeolian. If we go back to that scale, go back to the natural minor scale and play a flat 2, or you just play G natural instead of G sharp, you'll magically have F sharp Phrygian. Really cool. With a few tweaks to what we're already kind of playing with here, we can create and locate other minor scales and minor family, modes, and it's a big family. There's a lot of minor scale options out there, and we can do the same approach with major scales and also diminished and augmented, ideas and all sorts of stuff. So we're going to keep it really simple though, and just kind of focus on, locating the minor pentatonic, converting that to Aeolian, converting that to Dorian, converting that to Phrygian. And, once again, at the heart of all those scales lies the minor pentatonic, because, the form is so simple, and it's such a, kind of basic and useful sound. No matter how badly you want to get away from that scale, or, if you're like, well, it's not metal enough, or it's not jazzy enough, or it's not interesting enough, or bluesy enough, or whatever, your use or excuse of not really liking that scale. it is extremely useful, and especially the concept of exploring minor scales and really opening your musical mind. It's really useful because once again, it's hiding in the middle of these important scales. Aeolian, Dorian, and Phrygian. So play with this. Leave me some comments and feedback, and please subscribe to Late Night Lessons, and I'll be back with some more three for all and chord play and scales and tails very soon. Thank you.